Well, believe it or not, it's finally September, so today we're going to take a look at the September protocols for Royal Caribbean. What's going on, everybody? My name is Brandon. If you're new to the channel and you like cruise news, cruise vlogs, and ship tours, make sure you subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to be notified every time we upload a new video, and especially because we have Mariner of the Seas videos coming very soon. Anyways, let's get into it. So I did want to make this video just for the purpose of not only helping all of you, but also kind of helping myself here just to kind of go over everything. This is for Florida cruises. It does vary from state to state, but it is all generally pretty similar. So first off, of course, vaccines are required for everybody above the age of 12. And of course, the second dose has to be given at least 14 days before sailing. That way you are considered fully vaccinated. All crew on board the ship and any private destinations such as Coco Cay are fully vaccinated, which is nice. And a new change that was pretty recent, I believe mid-August or so, this went into place, but all guests 2 or older, regardless of vaccination status or the length of the cruise, do need to have a COVID-19 test, whether it is the PCR or the antigen test. Either one is fine. So when you get the results from your test, you can either have them printed out on a piece of paper, or you can have them on your phone or by email and show that whenever you get to the port. For kids ages 2 to 11, there will be a few additional tests that have to be taken just because they aren't vaccinated at that point or they're too young to get vaccinated. But depending on the length of the cruise, there will be 1 or 2 additional tests. Royal Caribbean will be the one that administers these tests, and these are at no additional cost, which is nice. For all cruises, kids take a complimentary PCR test when checking in at the terminal. And for cruises 5 nights or longer, kids will take a complimentary antigen test on board before the cruise ends. For passengers that are vaccinated but are from outside the United States and require a COVID test to go back into their country, do not worry, because Royal Caribbean has complimentary COVID tests on board the ship, so you can schedule one of those throughout the cruise. That way you have it whenever you get off the ship and try to get back into your home country. Into the documents that you need. Of course, the typical passport or some sort of government ID. It's recommended, of course, that like normal, it's always recommended that the passport is good for at least 6 months after the cruise. If you don't have a passport, it's okay because you can use a birth certificate and you just have to have your driver's license with you for anybody above the age of 16. And of course, now one of the additional documents is that you're going to have your COVID-19 vaccination record card. So that little card whenever you get your first and second dose. And this is required for all guests ages 12 and older. To go along with your vaccination card, you have to have your test results from that COVID test that you had a couple days before. This can be either provided by an email that you received or even print out the piece of paper saying that you're good. Then about 24 to 48 hours before your cruise, you will get a health questionnaire on the Royal Caribbean app that you have to present before you get on board as well. So onboarding day, whenever you check in for your cruise, you are going to be assigned a designated check-in time or a check-in window, basically. You can only arrive during that check-in time. Do not show up early because it will make everything worse and they will likely turn you away until your time actually comes. So like my check-in time for whenever I go on Mariner is 1 o'clock. So Justin and I will be showing up at the port at 1 o'clock to check in for the cruise. And when you get to the terminals, make sure you wear your mask at all times during the check-in process. Once you get on board the ship, it's a little different. But for the purposes of going through the terminals and checking in, masks are required at all times. Now into the fun part, what to expect on board the ship. So there are some designated areas on board the ship where you have to and some where you don't have to. It all depends on everything. So the following areas on board the ship are where you do not have to wear a mask if you don't want to. Open air areas on board the ship unless you're in a crowded setting, in the pool, or any activities that may become wet, which makes sense because that would just like suffocate you, I feel like. Venues designated for vaccinated guests only, such as bars and lounges and certain restaurants. In your stateroom, which obviously just kind of makes sense. I wouldn't want to wear that in my stateroom either. And then, of course, which is nice, we have the private destination Perfect Day Coco Cay. So you don't have to wear one there as well, or any guests under the age of 2. Masks are required on board when you are indoors in public areas of the ship, so maybe like walking up and down the promenade area, unless you are seated and actively eating or drinking. And then also on top of this, we do have the public ports of call, such as stopping in Nassau. If local guidelines require masks, then you have to wear a mask when you're off the ship as well. So like, I believe the Bahamas has some pretty strict mask and vaccination policies, so they are going to make you follow those rules when you're in that country. Now, the ships are still technically at reduced capacity, so the space on board is going to be greatly reduced, or the capacity on board is greatly reduced. That way, there's not quite as many people, so social distancing, physical distancing is all possible on board the ship, and it's also just kind of make the experience a little bit better, because so there won't be nearly as many people on board the ship, which I'm excited for, because that sounds like it's going to be really cool not being on a completely full ship. Because I cannot tell you the last time I've been on a ship that wasn't sold out. Dining rooms will of course be spaced out, which is nice, so tables won't be like too close to each other like in the past. Although they really weren't ever like close to each other, but it's nice to be spaced out. Entertainment venues will offer spaced out seating for showtimes, and of course on Royal Caribbean there will be vaccinated and non-vaccinated shows as well. As far as shore excursions, if you are vaccinated, you can roam the ports freely, which is nice because that's probably what Justin and I will be doing in Nassau. We're just going to be taking pictures of the ship for the most part. If you're non-vaccinated, you are required to go on an excursion in order to leave the port. And of course, in Perfect Day Coco Cay, tours are not required because that's, well, of course, just kind of a beach day. But anyways, that's kind of the general rundown of the September protocols for sailings out of Florida for Royal Caribbean. All right, and before we wrap up today's video, last week I put out a poll on our community tab. What cruise line have you sailed with the most? And just had all of you guys vote there. 62% voted Carnival, so that's really cool. Carnival and Royal Caribbean, not a surprise there as the two top ones. We also had Norwegian at 8%, MSC as 1%, which is really cool. It's got some MSC cruisers here. And even Disney at 3%. But I'm going to start putting out polls like this about once a week, and I'll read off the results in some future videos the following week. So be sure to stay tuned for those. I'll have the next one out pretty shortly. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for all of our upcoming videos on Mariner of the Seas in just about 2 weeks. So excited for it. It's been 2 long years without a cruise, but I'm finally ready to go. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.